Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, delighted to have your company. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell and you'll get all the notifications of when we are live. Alan Ruff, Charlie Adam and Tom McManus when he eventually gets here. The weather is horrendous, Ruffy, but he's making his way here as soon as he possibly can.
I'm sure.
Should we let him on?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, I think he should. I think he noises enough people up to let him on.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing about having Charlie here is we get a chance to boo him, because apparently that's the way he's received at every ground he goes to.
What was your decision to come first off the bus?
Because I knew it was coming in. And I just thought, I'm going to video it because it might noise a few up. And it's, listen, it's part and parcel of the game, and you know.
Charlie, you took it in great stead. Actually, when I saw it, I actually started laughing because I thought to myself, once you started waving at him, I thought he's absolutely comedy gold, brilliant.
No, it's just listen. When you get an opportunity to go back to Celtic Park, or even Ibrox as well, they're the stadiums you want to be playing at. You know, it's no disrespect. I don't want to be going to Ayr United on a Saturday, and you know, people like that. So we're delighted we went there. Obviously, the result wasn't great, but they're the moments you want to remember for your career, going to Celtic Park and Ibrox, because they're the best stadiums and great atmospheres.
The first thing that came through my mind when I saw Charlie coming off the bus and I seen him, and I went, please make that front door open. No, these scenes where you got you can't get it home.
Exactly.
Do you know what was the worst thing about it, right? I gets up to the front door and you know they take the temperature. Yeah. The woman says to me, what's your name? She just don't realise I've just been booed.
Custard pie. Magic, Charlie. You took it good for him, by the way. And let's hope it doesn't happen the same when you go to Ibrox as well. So hopefully they're kinder to you. Anyway, apart from anything else, Ibrox is our main focus because of last night. It ended Malmo 2, Rangers 1. Didn't go according to plan. In the end, the quotes from Steven Gerrard regarding Rangers' exit from the Champions League are there for all to see. This is what he had to say about it all. We did really well for 45 minutes, but we got 2 restarts badly wrong and paid for it. The most frustrating part is we've lost the second half to 10 men. To be 1-0 up and then go 2-1 down, a bit of fear and panic set in. We've got the second half display wrong, and that's on all of us. Well, at the end of it, 2 games where they've lost 4-2 in aggregate, and there's a lot of talking points in it, Charlie, but quite simply, in previous occasions with Scottish clubs, it's now getting more and more difficult to get in to the group stages of the Champions League, but Rangers should have beaten Malmo.
They should have, but lapse in concentration has cost them 10-15 minute period in both legs, has cost them the tie, because Rangers started the game, you know, really well last night, got the goal. I felt comfortable, confident that Rangers would win 2 or 3-0 once they got the goal, and then obviously the red card just before half time. You're thinking, okay then, how many could it be second half? But they just never started the second half well, and they got punished by 2 mistakes, 2 throw-ins, you know, straight into the boy's feet. He gets turned in the box and he tucks it away. It's a huge disappointment for everybody. The supporters have been away for a long time. The atmosphere was there, and it just petered out to really what at the moment we're used to the Scottish clubs getting knocked out of the Champions League and things like that. But they have to react because it's there's no standing still. You have to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, Alison took a few pelters over the last couple of days, suggesting that, you know, Rangers may well be feeling the pressure of more and more fans coming in there, and when it's not going according to plan. And she was proved to be correct, because that's 3 defeats in front of crowds.
Yeah, I think when things aren't going particularly well for you, you've got to look at certain players to be stand up and be counted. But when you're on the run that Rangers have been on, you know, everybody's playing with confidence, everybody's wanting the ball. All of a sudden, it's not going well for you, and it's something it's not been happening to you for the last year or the 14 months or whatever it is, and then you've got to sort of try and grasp it and, you know, and change it round. And for me, there wasn't. I know Steve Davis did his bit, but the others, Aribo was okay, but a lot of them just seemed to lost it a wee bit. They just couldn't. They didn't do the things that they had been doing.
Yeah.
You know, and the more they come into the game, I actually thought the turning point in the game was when Alan McGregor got the yellow card.
Yeah.
I thought they had a free kick, something they hadn't had for 35 minutes, and all of a sudden you can see, look, we've got a free kick here. And then after that, any attack that Malmo had, the back four were so nervous. They were just booting it anywhere. They were just
but over that period, though, they were picking holes in that back line and getting in there.
Yeah, listen, there was opportunities for that. Listen, they had a corner and a throw in early in the game, and then Rangers just dominated for that. And like Ruffy said, that Alan McGregor moment changed the complex of the game, and obviously Rangers were winning. But Malmo then started to grow into the game. They got further up the pitch. The space between Barisic and Balogun was just too big, and they found the gaps. And you could see that with the second goal. It's a wonderful little disguised pass and a great finish from is it Kolak? Kolak, the striker. 2 great goals, and at that level, you know, I know you're saying we should be beating Malmo, but that level in the Champions League, you know, you get punished for mistakes, and they have been.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the sending off was a joke, Ruffy. I mean, no wonder John Dahl Thomason was absolutely going mental in the sidelines. I mean, how he gets sent off, I'll never know.
I think both players went for the ball and both of them pulled out. You know, I don't think either of the two of them followed through because they knew that the 2 legs were coming together. So I don't think it was a second booking. I thought the first one was definitely a booking, but not to get sent off. You know, and as Charlie said, if you're a Rangers supporter and you're in there and they're down to 10 men and you've got the second half to come, you're 1-0, you're only thinking one thing, and it's going to be 2 or 3, and a lot of people will be shaking their head saying, how did that happen?
And I was on a different programme last night then for the game, and I said the big thing for now is Morelos scores a goal, he does not want to get involved. He gets a silly yellow card and it changes his game, because he's thinking, hold on a minute, I can't go and try and ruffle people up, and he changed. I know, understandable that he's only played, you know, the game against United, and obviously then last night he sort of maybe tired a little bit, but like you say, the big players and the big moments over the 2 legs never turned up, and that'll be a huge disappointment for the manager as well.
And I mentioned it yesterday, Ruffy, when you're talking about players, and Charlie knows this, we played with countless quality players who can change a game in an instant. You look and you are judged on playing against bigger sides. I think Scottish clubs are Europa League clubs at best. I've talked about the gap, the difference, you know, financially, and the style of player they've got to try and attract. But we are Europa League at best as far as Scottish clubs are concerned. And last night there was a perfect opportunity for the likes of Ryan Kent to go and impose himself in the game when you are in a situation where, as the manager highlighted, they're going from one end of the park to the other, shifting it, and then maybe throwing the ball in, which was meat and drink to Malmo. At that point, you need somebody, Charlie, who can suddenly go past a man and make it 2-on-1.
I felt the decision making of some of the players was not what we're used to seeing. You know, you can't say, listen, it's different for me to talk about. He ends up lashing shots from 25 yards. Hadji's shooting from 30 yards on his weaker side, and he started throwing it in from deep areas when really they were down to 10 men. Stretch the game, get them wide, little cutbacks from the wingers. You know, Tavernier and Barisic coming onto it from different angles and getting, because you knew Malmo were going to sit in, move them with a pass, even the dropping them out, to then allowing that it just become. No, listen, Rangers had enough chance to win the game, even at 2-1, you know. I think Hadji's got to score, Morelos has got to do better with a header, but it's a huge disappointment. But you've got to react in the positive manner now. They played Dunfermline Friday night, and then they've got big games coming up, all firm round the corner. Then they've got another Europa League game to get back into Europa League, so that will give them European football. You know, you don't want to be in that Conference Cup, but they want it, if they can get into that Europa League, then that'll bring some finance in. But it just means that they probably can't fish in the same pond as the big boys at the moment with no Champions League money. Yeah,
well, Graham has just mentioned that. He says £40 million has disappeared in a puff of smoke, and that's the implications of it. I mean, John Dahl Thomason can now look for one last hurdle, and Malmo could be in the group stages. This is what he had to say at the end of it all. Everyone in Sweden knows our famous team spirit. I think many teams in Europe know it now as well. I'm so proud of the players and the whole club. It's sensational that a team like Rangers is out of the tournament over these 2 matches. It was well deserved, I think, and we scored 4 goals. So that's the overall attitude from John Dahl Thomason on it. Now, potentially here, there could be players that may well have to be sold to try and balance the books. Gabriel Antoniazzi has a look at potentially some players that might be moved on.
Rangers have missed out on the Champions League group stages after their elimination to Malmo, meaning a £40 million windfall has slipped through their fingers. The club may look to sell one of their prized assets to make up the difference, but who could it be? Borna Barisic has been linked with a move to Roma over the past 12 months, and at the age of 28, the Gers may consider selling the Croatian for a profit, having been brought in for $2 million 3 years ago. However, they only have Calvin Bassey as cover, which means they would have to enter the transfer market themselves. James Tavernier has been outstanding for the Gers and would fetch double figures. There is an able deputy in the shape of Nathan Patterson, who looks set to be Scotland's right back for years to come. His progress should not be halted, but can Steven Gerrard afford to lose his influential captain, who's so crucial to how they play and contributes so many goals and assists? Glenn Kamara was impressive at Euro 2020 and has been linked with clubs from the Premier League to Italian giants Juventus, and he would also fetch a fee comfortably in double figures. However, his fluid play links the defence and attack for the Ibrox side, and his absence in the Champions League qualifiers was massively felt. Would he be too big a miss? Ryan Kent has 2 years left on his deal, and the club have already rejected bids from Leeds over the past 12 months. He's not started the season in the same form as the last campaign, and he could fetch a fee of at least £15 million, but is definitely Rangers' most decisive player. He contributed 28 goals last season. And Alfredo Morelos is one of the most talked about strikers in Europe, with clubs from France all the way to Portugal interested in his signature after scoring 95 times in Scotland. The Colombian has suggested before that his future lies away from Ibrox, and with no Champions League football, the club may think it's the right time to cash in, with £20 million the ballpark figure they'd be looking for. Who do you think Rangers could or should sell if they have to this summer?
Yeah, big questions. Will those players be going? Just in case anybody thinks they've missed out on Miami Vice from 1985, we have Crockett with us here. Tubbs can't make it, Ruffy, but certainly Crockett can. Look at that shirt. I mean, talk about annoying people on the show and being late, Ruffy.
That's shocking.
He's just throwing the...
Like, it's a Hawaii 5-0.
He's at the wind-up, Charlie, isn't he? Did you see him in the crowd when you got off the bus?
I seen him, I got his video.
Brilliant.
His Celtic shirt on there.
Absolutely unbelievable. Listen, the long and the short of it is, and sometimes, you know, there's a reality check, I think, sometimes for you know, Rangers fans, definitely. This morning, Tam, Celtic fans have sampled it before when they thought they were absolutely a shoo-in to get to the Champions League, and they suffered that disappointment, you know. But only over the last couple of weeks we've been listening to podcasts aplenty. Dave King saying if Rangers get 40 million for the Champions League, 40 million next year, win the League 2 title, Celtic will fold like a pack of cards. And suddenly you have to show a little bit of humility and suddenly say, along the way, because of the standard of the way we're playing here, you'll get disappointments, and this is a huge financial one.
Yeah, I think it is. I think there's a wee bit of complacency maybe setting at Ibrox. I think there was complacency at half time last night. I think that Rangers came out and approached the second half as if we're 1-0 up against 10 men, we just came out and cruise the game, going to get through. And I think they get a rude awakening. I think there's a few egos need to be kept in check in at Rangers. I think they've started the season very, very poorly. First half an hour last night I thought they were good, but I just think that Steven Gerrard needs to get a wee chat to some of them and say, listen, the standards that we set last season were miles below them, and maybe there's a few people believe in their own publicity, their own press, but it just doesn't look as if it's the same Rangers team as last season. You know, that Rangers team last season would have won that game 2-3-0 last night in the second half, and they just never turned up. Talk about crowds as much as you like. I just think Rangers weren't good enough. I don't think you can blame crowds at all. Yeah,
I think Ronnie Porter makes a good point there. He's a Rangers fan. He says, I've got no problem in taking any and all pelters from all Celtic fans. We slagged them all throughout the latter part of last season, so karma has come back to hit. That's the nature of it. I mean, that is the nature of fans. They like a bit of a noise up with each other, and we welcome that kind of banter, as long as it doesn't become abusive. The plain facts of the matter here are quite simply, Steven Gerrard has continually mentioned this, it's on me, I picked the team, it's on me. But I think Tam's hit the nail on the head there. Sooner or later, you have to have players who have to take that responsibility. I've never been at that point where I've thought, certainly in Champions League opposition, Charlie, I thought, Celtic and Rangers defences get caught out. They get caught out the higher the calibre of the player. They're not going to be pressured here more often than not against Scottish clubs. Out with the old firm game.
And it is a difficult thing to do for Rangers and Celtic players, because you predominantly are probably the best teams and players in Scotland. To then move the level to the Champions League, it's a different level from the Europa League to Champions League.
Yeah.
To go to that Champions League stage, like you say last night, the lads had 2 chances and he scored the 2 goals. That's the difference, and it's tough. But Stephen's obviously just taking the hit for the players, but inside he'll be telling them, don't worry about that, he will be telling them, listen, hold on a minute, he mentioned it, 6 or 7 have not turned up since the start of the season, and it's not good enough. And if you want to be complacent, you know, he'll be having words, it won't be, he'll just, on the outside he'll be taking the flak for everything because he's the one that stands there because he's the manager, but inside he'll be telling them that it's not good enough, and they'll understand that, they'll know that. It's a huge disappointment for everybody, the football club, but I don't think it's, Rangers would have budgeted without Champions League and with Champions League. They probably just now can't be able to go and sign the boy Veerman if that was the one they were looking at, and maybe somebody else. They'll just have to try and, you know, go with something else. But I don't see wholesale changes. I think.
Do you think they might have to balance the books though? Now, the reason I'm asking you that is because if Celtic don't make the Champions League, and you'll have to look at the evidence over the last 4 or 5 years, if Celtic don't make the Champions League, that board is quickly in to say, boom, this guy's the most valuable player, he's out, and that makes up the shortfall.
Possibly. There'll be discussions today, there would have been discussions before the match on what was going to happen. So I think there'll be 1 or 2 that are on the edge of maybe not signing contracts and they can probably get a decent value for that they will try and sell. There'll be ones that they, like a Kent, I think they'll be desperate to keep. But, you know, I think will they take, you look at maybe a Morelos who they've got enough cover for, Barisic they might be able to because Bassey's come in and he's unwell this season. Somebody like that they can probably get decent fee for. So yeah, I don't think it'll be wholesale changes, but I do think there'll be some bit of balance in the books. Yeah,
and of course, as our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi looks at, there's been a few embarrassing exits over the years.
Rangers' Champions League elimination at the hands of Malmo concludes a decade of qualifying exits for the Scottish League winners to teams who they will feel they should have beaten, considering club and budget size. 10 years ago, Rangers were also knocked out by Malmo in a bad-tempered affair where Stephen Whittaker and Majid Bouguera's red cards meant they ended with 9 men and on the wrong side of a 2-1 aggregate loss. Celtic made the group stage in 2012 and 13 under Neil Lennon, but they were beaten 1-0 at home to Maribor under Ronnie Deila in 2014, having been knocked out, then reinstated in the previous round after Legia Warsaw fielded an ineligible player. Scotland's bogey team Malmo were back a year later, beating the Hoops 2-0 in Sweden and 4-3 on aggregate, with a Dedrick Boyata own goal sending the Hoops down to the Europa League and putting more pressure on the soon-to-be outgoing Ronnie Deila. Brendan Rodgers completed a clean sweep of trophies in his first 2 years at the Hoops, and he took them to the Champions League group stages as well. But his team were knocked out of the third round by AEK Athens in 2018, with Rodgers citing a lack of investment from the board. He left months later. Neil Lennon kept the trebles coming at Parkhead, but he couldn't avoid the Champions League elimination, with a chaotic and humiliating 4-3 home defeat to Romania's side CFR Cluj, knocking them out. 2020 was even worse, as they succumbed in the second round to Ferencváros, losing a one-leg tie 2-1 at home. Lennon pointed at want-away players after the defeat, whilst the Hungarians made the group stage. And after their first title in a decade, Rangers could not reach the group stage, losing 2-1 home and away to Malmo in a tie that their recently returning fans expected them to win. Which defeat sticks out as the worst over the last decade, and can Scottish clubs change it next season?
Yep, it's a long time to wait to see if they can get back into the group stages. It's becoming more and more difficult as we go on. Anyway, that's Rangers against Malmo. Thanks for all your comments on it. Some of them obviously just in the cold light of day, realising Rangers were not at it over the 2 legs, not good enough to get past Malmo, and especially with 10 men as well. So we've had our opinion. You can have yours if you want to. You can record a message, download the PLZ Soccer app, and in submissions you can record your message or just type in a message to us and it'll drop in and we'll be able to look at it. If we use your video, then we'll send you out something special as well. Okay, on to some breaking news, which is just in the last couple of hours been brought to our attention, which is Brian Rice has resigned as Hamilton boss, Tam. A bit of a surprise there. I think I think when you consider what he's had to put himself through over the last year, I think maybe everything's just come to the boil.
I think so. I think it's been a very, very tough time for everybody, but particularly if you're involved in football as a player or a coach with the COVID. So much pressure on testing and getting players. I think Brian was without a lot of players at the start of the season. They've now got fans in and supposedly giving him a bit of stick at the games as well. So I think he's maybe just everything got on top of him and he needs a break from it, because Brian's one of the most hardest working people you ever see. Whenever I'm at a game, whenever you're at a game, Brian Rice at every game.
Yeah,
he's at every game. He goes and does his homework, and maybe he just needs a wee break for a couple of months to refresh himself.
It doesn't even matter if it's Inverness. He's up there on Tuesday night, or he'll be down in England watching players. He's just, like I say, one of the guys that you'll see at every game, and it's obviously a big decision because he loves the game. So let's say maybe a couple of months it might might help him move forward.
Yeah, we wish him well here on the Football Show. My gut feeling on this is quite simply, he was probably looking at the job of trying to get out of that division with youngsters, because Hamilton are not known for going out in a spending spree, Ruffy, and I think on the evidence of last year anyway, when I was watching them, they lacked the experience, they lacked those 2 or 3 players to guide the youngsters through.
Yeah, I think initially Brian bought into that, you know, and he loves seeing we all love seeing young boys come through academies and get into first teams, and then they get settled on, you know, and I think you put up with that to a certain time when you're doing okay and nobody's getting you hassle, and then all of a sudden you lose players and that conveyor belt's not working as well as what it used to be, and then you're down a division. And Brian's got standards as well, you know, he'll want to be in the Premiership with a Premiership team, so I think, like the guys are saying, you know, I think he just needs a break for football. Yeah,
okay. There's a story obviously coming out, and just a breaking story as well. Obviously, Gordon Strachan has taken on a 3-month consultancy role at Celtic. He's still technical director at Dundee, and the professional game board of the SFA are set to consider whether his return to Celtic in a consultancy role represents a breach of their dual interest rules. So they're now going to consider this Article 13 to see whether indeed he should not be involved in both clubs. I personally, Tam, think this is a strange decision. A 3-month consultancy role is a nonsense, especially at a club Celtic size. If you're going to get somebody like Gordon Strachan, I mean, you know, my sources say that the real consideration for Gordon Strachan was director of football.
I think they're doing ideal for him. I think he knows the club inside out. I don't understand this role. You know, he's talking about the academy and the B team and I think the women's team as well, getting involved in that. Yeah. He's still involved with Dundee as a technical director. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but just working with 2 clubs in terms of that, I don't know. Obviously, I think the SFA, as you said, they're going to have a look into it. If it's fine for him to do it, then I don't see why he can't do both jobs. But for 3 months, it's just something just doesn't smell right about that.
Yeah, Ange Postecoglou certainly realises the qualities that Gordon could bring.
He's a very passionate football person, which, you know, I kind of like, and the information I've had is that he's, you know, we're keen to tap into his knowledge as a club in terms of, you know, some of the structures around the club, particularly around the academy and the women's football. So, which, you know, I think is stuff that's really important infrastructure-wise.
Yeah, great. This is Gordon Strachan. I think he's got a lot to offer, and I think he's got a lot to offer that certainly could develop a club, not only Dundee, but if he's going back to Celtic, I think he would be a huge asset, but not for 3 months. I wonder about that. This is what Gordon had to say about the whole situation. The development of young players and seeing them improve and grow is a real passion for me. I look forward to liaising with Dom and all our Celtic colleagues and hope we can work together for the benefit of the club and these teams so they ultimately can develop further. I also look forward to continuing my work at Dundee, where I have established a great working relationship and close bond with the manager, managing director, staff and coaches. If anything, if it is you know, a break here which is not allowed by SFA rules, Celtic should push the board out and say, well, we're looking for a director of football anyway, come and do it.
I don't think he'll take it.
No.
I think he's got his heart set on a project at Dundee that he enjoys being around it. The club are moving away off the pitch. You know, they're starting a programme where the young lads can go to school and have the coaching education as well at the same time for next season, and he's a big part of that. He's building certain things at that training facility where they can for the younger kids as well. So this is his baby really, and he's allowed to do it. Listen, he's probably trying to do the same thing at Celtic, but on a grander scale with more money, and they're using his expertise to try and develop younger players, because at the moment Celtic are not developing enough players, and you know, they'll be disappointed with that. But no, I don't think if it come to the crunch, I think he would stay at Dundee.
Yeah, okay. Celtic have got a big game tomorrow night against Jablonec. They're 4-2 up from the first leg. Don't envisage any problems, Ruffy, do you?
No, I've already said should be 4 or 5, you know, with the evidence last week, you know, if you scored 4 goals away from home, and it could have been more, you know, I would think with the performance they put in at the weekend, I would expect the same kind of performance, and I think they'll win quite comfortably.
Okay, 4-2 up, looking to add to it, they'll play AZ Alkmaar in the playoff round, if they can get there. Still got to make sure that they get past Jablonec and there are no slip-ups. Whether Odsonne Edouard is there or not over the next few weeks or not, I think Celtic will look to offload him. The suggestion is that he might stay and go on a free at the end of next season. I can't see that happening at Celtic, can you?
Nah, I don't think Celtic will allow that. I think Celtic would make moves now to try and sell him in this window. I think they're obviously been linked to the lad Henry abroad, so I think if they can bring him in, Furuhashi, I think Edouard, for everybody concerned, it's best if he leaves now and Celtic get a decent fee for him, because the more his contract runs down, the less of the fee you're going to get.
What are they going to get from now?
I know.
Because his performances since he's come back are not going to warrant double figures. So what did he get? 5 million from him and go from there?
Yeah. Well, of course, they're always on the lookout for players. I mean, they're linked with Josip Juranovic from Legia Warsaw for that right back, so there'll be competition, although I have to say Anthony Ralston has played well. They're now in talks with Ko Itakura. Pep Guardiola has him at Man City, and I think they're in talks to see if he'll come as well. So they're certainly making moves to strengthen this squad before that window closes. And as for tomorrow night with a full Celtic Park, the Celtic fans can expect all guns blazing, according to the manager Ange Postecoglou.
The one thing I do know is we're going to start all guns blazing. You know, we're the ones that, when that whistle goes, I want us to show the same intent we showed on the weekend, right until, you know, like I said, it was the 93rd, 94th minute, and we'd scored 6, and we almost got a 7th right at the end, because we just wanted to make sure that our intent was there for the full game. So, you know, irrespective of what the opponents may or may not come up with, it's important that we set the tempo and we set you know, the intensity of the game right from the start.
So that's what's on offer. We're going to talk about St Johnstone very shortly, but I'm delighted to say our new man in the north, Ruffy, I know you wanted him to come down to the Central Belt.
Make an effort at least.
Well, but there's absolutely no point whatsoever in bringing Andrew Shiney down here to the Central Belt, Ruffy, because he's been a Don all his life. He's watched them. And Andrew, we can see that you are in your bedroom, and behind you, am I right in thinking that's the first ever game that you went to in that frame?
It is indeed. It was way back in February 1967, when even Alan Rough was a young man. We beat St Johnstone 5-0 in a Scottish Cup tie, went all the way to the final, and of course lost to the Lisbon Lions.
Yeah, absolutely. There you are, Ruffy. I mean, that's his first programme from 1967. I mean, were you playing then? Were you just on the verge of the move to Thistle?
No, I was in the first team when I was 16.
Yeah?
Thistle, yeah. Never played against the big boys. I had a season in the first division before we got promoted, but Aberdeen were a fair side then.
Well, not only that, I mean, Andrew just mentioned there, Tam, February 1967 is his first ever game. And obviously he was hooked on Aberdeen since then. Of course, a few months later, Celtic absolutely battered them. just thought I'd put him on a downer with that line, and then they went on to win the European Cup. I mean, but it's great to have Andrew with us, because he's going to keep us up to date with all things Aberdeen, which, as you know, because your mate Stephen Glass, I think it's, I don't know, I just get a good feeling about them. Breidablik, I think we'll see them off tomorrow night.
Yeah, no, it's great for Andrew to be up there and giving us a bit of Aberdeen news. I think Aberdeen this season will be very, very good to watch. I spoke about it before Stephen even got the job. What kind of coach he is. He's very, very front foot attacking coach. I think he's the complete opposite of Derek McInnes. I think you'll see a team that goes out to try to win every game, home or away, no matter the opposition. They'll take a few downs along the way and a few blips, but I think it'll be exciting to watch, and I think it's really exciting times for everybody up at Aberdeen.
Yeah, Andrew, do you share that view on the basis that you know that the city is buzzing at what Stephen Glass is trying to build there?
Absolutely. I mean, it's an exciting brand of football that he and Alan Russell have put out onto the park. As you say, there will be blips on the road, but at the moment it's richly entertaining for those that are coming along to Pittodrie. And hopefully it's going to be near enough a full house tomorrow for the meeting with the Icelanders. And once you start making Pittodrie difficult, to play in. You know, then the confidence grows amongst the Aberdeen players, and who knows what they can do away from home. We saw last Sunday they were pretty awful against Livingston for long periods of that game, but they ground out a victory. And look at how often you see winners manage to do that.
Yeah, I've got to ask you on that. I mean, Scott Brown, a key element of that, they seem to have really taken to him, the Aberdeen fans, and quickly. I get the feeling his winning mentality will brush off on a lot of people.
Absolutely. We saw it right from the word go. The first game against Hacken, it was interesting. When he was introduced to the crowd, there were one or two boos. Yeah. But see, by the end of that game, when he was leading the team in the lap of honour, which I think you said was a wee bit like Aberdeen winning the Champions League, you'd have thought that's what had happened. But Bruni had got everybody together and wanted them to go and thank the fans for their part in winning that game. We saw again on Sunday, he was on the bench, he came on for Johnny Hayes. As soon as he came onto the park, he was round everybody. Right, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. And that rubs off on everyone. And similarly in training, he demands hugely high standards. So it can only be a good thing for Aberdeen. And he's still got enough in the legs to be able to run a show.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry if anybody booed Bruni. Charlie gets booed and it's just coming into the studios here. Because just to see him, we've given him pelters about getting booed at Celtic part-time. He was magnificent. But just on that point, here's what Stephen Glass makes of the game tomorrow, which should be another time for the Dons fans to celebrate.
They scored a couple against us, so they believe there's opportunities in this game to score. I see it as it's almost a standalone game that we need to win, I feel like. If we sit and try and get a draw, we could find ourselves in trouble. Technically a good team, so it's important for us to dictate the game and use our qualities to go and win.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got to dictate the game. Charlie, Andrew's mentioned the Scott Brown effect on this. They're in a good position against Breidablik. They should be able to see them off and get ready for the next stage. Yeah,
listen, when you score goals, 3 goals away from home in the first tie, you obviously they've got frailties and you've got to use that to your advantage when you come back to Pittodrie. So I'd expect Aberdeen to get through, and they've started the season well. You know, they've got that last-minute goal against Livingston, which give them confidence as well. So no, they've started the job well, and they'll be hoping they can continue that because they'll get good support when they do that. Yeah,
Andrew, what's your prediction for this one tomorrow night?
You're never sure what you're going to get with Aberdeen, to be honest, and I think that's going to be the case all the way through the season. But I think they'll win the game. Defensively, Breidablik aren't great. Aberdeen are quite decent at set pieces now. I can see Aberdeen winning by 2 or 3 clear goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew, I might as well tell you that this could be the first time and maybe the only time on the entire show where we're all in agreement with you for an Aberdeen win. Ruffy, is that fair?
Yeah, I'm like Charlie. If you score 3 goals away from home, I would expect them to win quite comfortably tomorrow night. I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Andrew's been fairly positive about it and open and honest, but I wonder if you can be balanced because you're pal Stephen Glass. Will you be balanced through the entire season, Tam?
No, I won't be. I really, really hope it as well. I think there was a lot of eyebrows raised amongst the Aberdeen fans as well when they came in. Did they have the experience, was he? But I know him very, very well. I think he'll do a good job up there, and I hope he does. And I hope they finish just behind Hibs, probably in 4th place.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, if you keep that up, Andrew will come down here to beat the living daylights out of you because he can scrap, let me tell you. I'm sure, Andrew, I spotted you at the heart of the casuals in the 80s.
No, I was never in the casuals. I was halfway up the south stands on the centre line. I was there cheering them on, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy with that, Andrew. Listen, the good news is Limassol or Karabag await the winner of this tie, so fingers crossed. Andrew will be our correspondent in the north following Aberdeen. Were you going to say something to him?
I was going to say it's great to see Andrew. My first reaction was, what will Chick Young do for a gig?
Don't bite, Andrew, don't bite.
I wasn't going to mention the fact that the week after you won the League Cup in 1971, you came up to Pittodrie, we clapped you onto the park, and then gubbed you 7-2.
Aye, by the way, Andrew, you don't need to remind us of that because he has actually mentioned it on the show. You know, you come in, they clapped you onto the park at Pittodrie before they thumped you 7-2 after winning the League Cup.
I don't remember then. I was still howling.
Listen, Andrew, it's an absolute joy speaking to you. We will be with you throughout the season covering Aberdeen. Thank you very much for joining us. Brilliant. Heard from Stephen Glass, Andrew Shiny there as well, keeping us up to date with all things Dons, and let's hope it's a long European run as well as an exciting time for them in the Scottish Premiership. And that's, of course, brings me nicely to Hibs. I have a really worry. I've got a major worry on this one because of all the Scottish clubs. Aberdeen, yep. Hibs should have done it last week.
Yeah, they should have won the game last week without doubt, but I think if they can put in the same level of performance, then I think they can get through. I don't think they're a fantastic team. I thought they were decent in patches, good technical players, but I think Hibs have got every opportunity. I think it's a 50-50 game. I, like you, feel that last minute chance from Mackay could come back to haunt Hibs, because I think if Hibs went over there with a lead, it would force them to come out and Hibs would hit them in the counter-attack. So I don't know, I really hope Hibs can get through. They took a bit of a blow last night for the coefficient, obviously with Rangers, but I'm hoping that Aberdeen, St Johnstone and Hibs can all get through.
Yeah, absolutely, fingers crossed. Am I right in that worry? You know, we looked at them and there were a couple of good technical players, Croatian sides known to be difficult to beat over there.
Yeah, let's not be a tough match, but like I said, in spells, Hibs were probably good enough to win that tie, unlucky in the last minute, but no, they'll still go confident. I think Jack's got them playing some good football so far this season, and you know, they'll probably, you know, listen, nobody expects St Johnstone to get anything on Thursday night, but the three teams are in great positions to be in, and hopefully they can do it.
Yeah, good line here from Hugh Scott, who clearly thinks Hibs can go through. Rough, he says, Peter, I'll take Hibs to go through, Martin Boyle to dive for a penalty.
No, it's no Tavernier pen, it's Boyle pen, isn't it?
No, yeah, absolutely, I know it's getting that way. Listen, nobody will care, Ruffy, if he scores all their moral high ground will go out the window if he wins a penalty and they win through.
Yeah, you're right, and it's a debate where everybody has, you know, that every manager doesn't want to see it happening against you, but it would be interesting in the dressing room if one of your players do it, you know, what kind of reaction he is to win the game. But
do that again.
Yeah.
Don't get it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
In your fire.
Exactly. Charlie, we were talking to Chris Miller, who was in the studio the other day there. Chris can't even get a ticket for the game. I mean, come on. If you're a St Johnstone legend, surely you get a ticket for this game against Galatasaray.
No, it's unbelievable, isn't it? But St Johnstone will be thinking, Steve Brown will be thinking, he's not paying, so he's not getting in. They'll be trying to get as much cash in as possible.
It's going to be great, isn't
it? It's brilliant. I think Callum and the St Johnstone lads have done tremendous to win 2 trophies and have an opportunity to give themselves an opportunity to progress against Galatasaray. It's a great opportunity, but you know, I just think Galatasaray might just have enough for them.
Yeah, I was listening to you last night, and a very pertinent point that you did make. You know, this is a Galatasaray with Radamel Falcao sitting on the bench, and that puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? I mean, it's incredible.
He's earning a year what St Johnstone are probably playing. He's probably earning more in a year than what St Johnstone's full squad and salary is.
Yeah,
that's the gulf. You know, and Galatasaray are not one of the big clubs in Europe. Listen, they've got a great fan base and they're a decent sized club in Turkey, but it just shows the gulf that we are out behind. You know, we say, but that was an embarrassment, Rangers getting beat for Malmo. It is, but listen, I was involved in Kaunas and we got beaten that and things like that, so there's worse things than that, but St Johnstone lads just got to go and take the full game to them, and hopefully they can do it, because they gave them enough chances in the tie, and they got a great result in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we should, in any way understate how great a result it was first time around, but you couldn't rule out Galatasaray just coming there and winning the game with ease.
Oh, you have to look at the way the game went. I mean, Galatasaray went down to 10 men, lost their goalkeeper. Zander Clark was pulling off unbelievable saves, you know, and they'll probably have to do that tomorrow night as well. You know, that they will be up against it. They're quality players. You know, they know what's at stake. Galatasaray know what's at stake. So, I mean, St Johnstone will possibly be what we were discussing earlier with Rangers and Celtic. They don't come up against that kind of quality often enough. You know, but coming back for there with a 1 each draw, you think, oh, well, we've got a chance here, but I think it'll be a tough one.
And is it just the wee clubs who tend to still display the qualities that every family should? It's on the season ticket book as well for a lot of St Johnstone fans, this one. But Celtic fans are having to stump up cash. This one not on the season ticket book.
Yeah, I don't know how the big clubs get away with that. You know, I think they just think that there's more people who don't get the tickets, others will get it. You know, and they sort of play on that they're not going to get a season ticket up or a seat up in case somebody else gets it, and that's how they get away with it.
Yeah. As for the game itself, I like Callum Davison's attitude. He said, you've got to play against this team, not the stature of the name Galatasaray.
For me, it's really important that you got to enjoy the occasion, but I think we're playing against a team, so we need to make sure we play against the team rather than play the occasion. Make sure we're focused right. We do the right things on Thursday night, and we try and perform to a high level. If we do that, it gives ourselves a small chance to get through. Galatasaray undoubtedly are the big favourites. But again, it's sometimes good being the underdog.
Yeah, well, they'll still be the underdogs, Tam. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, undoubtedly so. I think there's a wee bit of pressure on St Johnstone now. Yeah. Said no one expected them to go over there and get a result. They've got a fantastic result to bring back, and usually if you go away from home and you get your result, you're expected to win at home. You've done the hard part, supposedly. So, but I think if St Johnstone come out, I think that's when Galatasaray could pick them off. I don't think St Johnstone will. I think St Johnstone will just play their normal game. They'll sit in, they'll try and hit the break. And if St Johnstone can go 1-0 up, they're a very, very hard, I said that even away league, they're a hard team to break down with that 5 at the back and the goalkeeper. So I'd love to see St Johnstone get through, and I think they might. Yeah, fingers crossed. We're all hoping that St Johnstone can do it. I'm thinking 2-1. What about yourself?
I'm just going to, I'll go 2-1. I think St Johnstone will score, but I'll just go for Galatasaray 2-1 as well.
Galatasaray to win 2-1?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going St Johnstone 2-1.
I'm going Galatasaray.
God, you're a hard man to please today, by the way.
I'm going the whole way in a wee bit of rub of the greens. Xander saves a couple of penalties at the end.
Yeah, Xander Clark to save. Of course, you said penalty kicks. Yep, how to bite the nails at the end of the game. Anyway, fingers crossed for all our Scottish clubs. Disappointment last night for Rangers, but tomorrow night there's a chance for 4 Scottish clubs to come up with a result that will give us just even a sniff of maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, could we even think about 5 in the group stages of European football. It would be great if we could just get a couple in there, out with Celtic and Rangers. Obviously we'd love to see Celtic and Rangers in group stages, keeps the interest going all the way through to Christmas and hopefully beyond. But some of the other clubs, it could be, even in the Conference League, as I mentioned, Tam, it's £3 million. That's a huge change to a club's budget.
It is, it's massive money. Plus, I think they've been competitive in there. I think the Celtic and Rangers Champions League, I think that the Europa League's their level now. And I think, like Aberdeen, St Johnstone possibly, and Hibs, Europa League maybe a wee bit tough. Conference League, you can get in there, you can get a few quid, you can be competitive, you can win a few games. And so hopefully...
But also, all these other teams then allows a bit of trading amongst the clubs.
Yeah, the money trickles down.
Yeah, and that's where I think it'll go, and they'll be able to invest. Well, you're hoping to do, invest in buying each other's players again, and it's great. It's only going to improve Scottish football,
Yeah, absolutely, and just coming up against better teams as well improves the players. Charlie, you must have noticed a change in how you changed your game when you're at Blackpool and then you're into the Premier League, and that there are certain players that you're coming up are playing a certain way. They're hitting the ball earlier. They're closing you down earlier. You have to make that pass.
Yeah, decision making, and but it's not just that type of thing. It's off the field the clubs can then improve on. The sports science, the medical departments, and things like that, and they can progress that way, and the players can then develop their bodies and things like that other way. So it's the more teams we have in Europe. Listen, I was against the conference thing, but then I realised how much money was still involved in getting in that competition.
Yeah,
I'm all for it as long as we can allow the clubs to then start trading amongst each other and buying each other's players. Then it's only good for Scottish football.
Yeah, and with that in mind, sometimes clubs can overstep the mark. We're going to talk about Messi in a moment, but clubs, regardless of what budget you have, sometimes if you overspend, you have to cut your cloth accordingly, in subsequent seasons. I just wonder if the move for Lawrence Shankland to the Belgian side Beerschot is prompted by the fact that Dundee United spent a lot of money, Ruffy, last season, and some people were amazed at the money they were shelling out.
Yeah, well, it's a well-known fact when they were in our division that they threw the kitchen sink at it, financially, with the players they were bringing in, the wages they were putting in. And as long as you get the success, people will put up with it, that once you get promoted, everybody doesn't even, well, not everybody, but you stop thinking about the financial side of it, but it's going to raise its head sometime, when you have to do the accounts and you look at the books and everything, and then that's when you have to start getting £1 million in, that's when you have to start, losing players. But they've got to where they wanted to be, it's just a matter of balancing the books.
Yeah, absolutely, which is why I think they've actually gone down that road with Tam Courts as well. No disrespect to the boy, he's got a big season ahead of him, but I think they've looked at everything and thought, we are going to have to cut back here.
Yeah, I think that Courts will give young players a chance. I think that's going to be I think Dundee have invested a lot in the youth setup up there. They had to totally revamp it. Big Andy Goldie's a good pal of mine. Eating up Bernie's heading it up with Adam Ashgar, so they've invested a lot in the youth setup. And I think they want to just start producing and getting their own players through to save money, because, as Ruffy says, that championship season under Robbie Nielsen, Dundee United spent a fortune. They were giving Shankland's reportedly $3-4 grand a week in the championship, so it's no surprise to me that Shankland's away. I think it suits everybody. Dundee United get a fee and they need the money, and they get a big wage off the wage bill. So I think you'll see a Dundee United team in the next couple of years try to be competitive in the league, but starting to really push young players through.
Yeah, Charlie's just amazed at it, Ruffy. Tam's got pals everywhere now, isn't he?
Oh, that nice phone must be ringing all night. Must be
football
just
friends
sitting there all night,
Yeah.
Who will have phone next?
They get me a game of golf if I know like you.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I would say to you, and it always sticks in my head, Ruffy, is I always used to say to Davy Provan, I used to say to him, I know him, he's a good pal of mine. He went like, no. Acquaintances. They're not pals. There are no pals in football unless it's teammates for a long time, Ruffy.
Yeah, and the reason you don't ask Tam to play golf with is he's never on the fairway you're playing with. If you're going down the third, he's doing the fifth. If you're going down the fourth, he's out at the seventh.
And of course, sometimes if you're really lucky, you get to hang about with guys who play at Glen Eagles.
It's been a good day.
Yeah, where did it all go wrong for you?
Only Glen Eagles with the PGA centenary course.
30 points.
We're playing Little Hull and Leatham Hull and all the council courses.
Yeah, well, to be fair, by the way, that's when you want a contacts book. Suddenly you're on the PGA course. Listen, I don't think it'd be any problem for this next guy to get on any course in the world. It's Messi. He's dreaming of, Ruffy, a Champions League win with Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
And he's also making sure that the 25 million has cleared in his account.
Yes, well, I saw Paris Saint-Germain team in the papers this morning, and it's unbelievable, the players that they have, particularly the front three. I mean, that's incredible.
Charlie, talk us through that team. Here it is, Paris Saint-Germain now with Messi in the side. This is looking good, isn't it? Donnarumma, who was immense in the Euros.
Free transfer.
Yep, and look at it, Ramos.
Free transfer.
Yeah, Marquinhos is there, Wijnaldum's there, Verratti, who I thought was magnificent, and then the front three, Messi, Mbappe and Neymar.
Four players are incredible free transfers in this window. Donnarumma, Ramos, Wijnaldum and Messi. I know they'll be paying big salaries, but it's a phenomenal team, and it just adds pressure for Pochettino now to go and win. They're going to win the league. They obviously never won it last year, but he has to win everything. And if they don't, then he knows he'll be out. But
it's a failure.
Well, yeah. If he doesn't win it, if he doesn't win everything, he'll be disappointed that he'll be out of job. But Messi obviously going to help him in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Messi himself saying that the dream is the Champions League. That's why he's there.
They've been very close to win the Champions and they are ready. I just come here to help. I'll try to give my best with my illusion. My goal and my dream is to win again this trophy, and I think that Paris is the best place to have a chance to win it again.
Yeah, Tom, you don't like him, you think he's greedy.
I do. Is that with the ball or the money? I just think that it's always all about money for him. I just think he could have went back to Argentina and played with his boyhood team, or went somewhere else.
No chance.
Yeah.
But he's went with the money again, and PSG and Man City appear hell bent on trying to buy the Champions League.
But that's just like saying Ronaldo well, why did he go back to Portugal and play for Sporting Lisbon? But because he was getting big contract, Juventus got a big contract, Real Madrid. The best players are going to get paid the best money, and that's the way the world is.
And it's not as if you're actually buying, maybe a player that you think, oh, he's 34. I wonder if his legs have gone. This guy's figures are phenomenal.
Peter, they announced it last night at 10 o'clock. By 10:01, every shirt sale was sold out. Well, that's good business.
Yeah.
And he's going to a league where, it's not as competitive as Spain, but, what an opportunity to play. He'll be thinking, well, at the moment at Barcelona, I'm going to be playing with Dembele,
Braithwaite.
Depay, or am I going to play with Mbappe, Neymar, myself? Well, where else do you want to go? Verratti, Ramos. I want to go and play with the best players, and they're still the best players. So he's giving himself an opportunity to go and win the Champions League again, because I don't think Barcelona will, because of the financial constraints and the team's not the level that he probably still is as a player himself.
Yeah, and if you read between the lines, there's a great story to be told, and many people in the know in Spanish football are well aware of the fact that, despite all the promises and maybe broken promises to Messi, they are over 400 million in debt, and somebody has to balance the books, even at the great Barcelona, Tam.
Yeah, listen, I don't think it was possible for Messi to stay under any circumstances, so they need to get their house in order. I think the Spanish government or the league are putting money in, but they're nowhere near for me winning the Champions League, and I think if the only reasons why to PSG is money and to try and win the Champions League. Yeah,
and Ruffy's sitting there like a Cheshire cat, because he's going to pick PSG to win the Champions League, and because he's picked them year in, year out. But listen, all I'm going to say to you is this. Now, Charlie, I'm going to show you an 11, and being, obviously sensible about it, we would suggest that Barcelona are in with a great chance of winning, PSG are in with a great chance of winning the Champions League, Ruffy, your bet. But it doesn't always go that the best players win it, because, Charlie, have a look at this 11 from Real Madrid when David Beckham joined them. Casillas, Salgado, Elguera, Samuel, Carlos, Guti, Beckham, Figo, Zidane, Raul and Ronaldo. And for 4 years, all Beckham had to show from 2003 to 2007 was one La Liga.
Yeah, but the big guns across the road in Barcelona, the team that they had at that time was just phenomenal, and that's when, Barcelona put all their eggs in the basket for this, but Barcelona had Xavi, Iniesta, Henry, Ronaldinho, top players.
Ruffy's favourite, Puyol.
But so I think, but like Tam said, Spanish football is still there, but the financial constraints for all the other clubs, like what the debt that Real Madrid and Barcelona are in, it's going to cause them big issues. And like I say, if Barcelona want to survive for the next 50 years, they had to get rid of Messi, and that's why Juan Laporta said it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, there you are. We've talked about so many things. Commiserations, and our thoughts are with Brian Rice, who, just in case you didn't catch the news at the top, has resigned as Hamilton Accies boss. Let's hope Brian stays in football. He's a committed man. He was a brilliant player in his day, but he's a brilliant lad as well, and I hope maybe whatever decision, whatever reasons for the decision to leave Hamilton Accies, he'll have them personally himself. Let's hope he's strong enough in mind to get through and get somebody out there to employ him again. We wish him the very best. Who gets the Hamilton Accies job? It will all become apparent shortly. Just briefly, tonight we've got Chelsea Villarreal in the Super Cup. Chelsea on the verge of getting Lukaku. Do you fancy them for this one?
Yeah, I think Chelsea win comfortably 3-0. I just want to see the teams, but I don't know if they've got all their players back from the Euros and that yet. But Chelsea far too strong, I think.
Yeah, Ruffy, Chelsea for you?
Chelsea, yep. Chelsea
too strong, and I think they're probably, once they get Lukaku done, they'll be the ones to challenge City next season. Yeah,
interesting stuff. Okay, always good to have an opinion. Right now, Ruffy and I are worried about it because we don't know if the murder has been solved yet, but thankfully Crockett's on his way. He'll get back in the car, he'll check over all the forensic evidence, Ruffy, and hopefully solve it. I mean, it's crucial that he gets out there, gets in the car, puts the shades on, puts Don Henley Boys of Summer on, and tries to solve this crime.
Yeah, that's what happens when your wife dresses you.
Do you know what else I think? Do you know what I think that is as well? That's the bad shirt you get when you're the worst player at training, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's with his mates and I dare you to wear that tomorrow on the show.
I was the worst player last night out of 5, so I was horrible.
First
game back 6 weeks, murder.
Did anybody give you that look? The professional footballers, sometimes if when we played our first game back for a while, sometimes if we have a bad game, professional footballers who also play in the game look and go, you're not at my level. Did you get that? Like?
One thing about me up to fives, I always score a load of goals. I don't do defensive work, right? I'm a man down, but I always scored. See, last night it took me, I think it was about 27 minutes into the game before I scored my first goal. I was slicing them all over the place. Horrendous. You
could have asked me that 55 minutes on Sunday. A few of the Celtic lads were probably saying, "Who's this?"
Did you even get a 50-yard diagonal? No.
I had a couple, but not great.
No, not great. Brilliant. Listen, Charlie, it's one of those videos that's been sent to me, and I keep it just for the great noise up. The one from the Celtic fans is brilliant, but you having the audacity to film it and wave to them all as he's coming out is a mark of you as a man. It was absolutely brilliant, Chaz. Superb. Anyway, listen, I hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you'll join us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell, and you'll get notifications of us when we are live. There's lots of special guests coming up and lots of special giveaways as well. Download the PLZ Soccer app, record yourself, join us in the show, tell us what you think of your favourite team. From Crockett, Alan Ruff, Charlie Adam and myself, Peter Martin, thanks for watching.